Hola, muy buenos días a todos ustedes. Estamos muy contentos hoy porque vamos a hacer una entrevista presencial con el filósofo Rob Riemen, autor de muchos libros que se han leído en México, y es un privilegio tenerlo para este país hoy. Rob, thank you very much for allowing this conversation.
No, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Rob. Well, we're here because your new book, The Word That Conquers Death, Tales of True Greatness. This one offers a profound story of our times, as all of your books. Who are your ideas speaking to today? Whom do you hope to reach with your work, Rob?
Well, I'm now here in Mexico City. I have to admit that already for 10 years, this country has been extremely welcoming to my books, to the work Evelyn and I do with the Nexus Institute. And so, although I'm here only for 3 days, my publisher organized 3 events with the students, and they were phenomenal. They were absolutely phenomenal. The young people had read a book, they had excellent questions, and I could have very, profound conversations about these issues because although they are 2 generations younger than we are, they do read newspapers, they are informed, they know in what kind of world they are. And when I explain to them the difference between false greatness and true greatness, they know what we are talking about. And so listen, it's specifically for younger generation, also in the second chapter, the flag of hope, it's their future, much more than ours, because they are supposed to be here around much longer than the 2 of us. So that's the prime audience, but of course the book is for everybody.
How significant is it for you to present your book in Mexico? And why do you think your work resonates so strongly here, when both your contest and your ideas and the ideas you explore are so deeply rooted in Europe?
Well, this is a very good question, and I wish I could give a very good answer. To be honest with you, I still don't have a good answer to the question. But what I do know, I know some certain facts. I realize that the audience for my book is much larger in the Spanish world than in my own country. In America, the last 2 books, although my agent asked 25 publishers, they don't want to touch the books anymore. In America, all kinds of self-censorship already started. In the Netherlands, well, the Netherlands is the Netherlands, but still that leaves the case that the book is now also published in Germany. And also in Germany, and I'm very proud with the publisher we have found there, because it's a man who's now 80 years old, and he took over Europa Verlag. And Europa Verlag was a publishing house started by a friend of Thomas Mann in Zurich to create a publishing house where Jewish refugees from Germany finally could publish their books.
In the first pages of your book, why do Maduro, Claudia Sheinbaum, and Milei appear in the prologue together?
In the prologue, which the world stage, which I a little bit inspired by Faustus of Goethe, right? It was a prologue. There was a world stage, and who's the dominant figure at the world stage? That's greatness, with capital G, greatness, and the whole world is in awe of greatness, because greatness itself is organizing high mass for the deity, which of course is the biggest number, because everything nowadays is focused on the biggest number. Only in our time, not in the Enlightenment, not in the Renaissance, not in the Middle Ages, you could have influencers. We are the age of influences. And why are you an influencer? I have influential because 1 million, 10 million, 50 people are in awe of your makeup or your little dance on TikTok. And because of your big number, you have... So anyway, of course, Trump is there, Putin is there, Xi Jinping, because they all are about greatness. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, because they are about big numbers. and your friends here from this part of the world. No, I would be shameful to, it would be Western colonialism not to include them. Scheinbaum belongs there, Maduro belongs there, Milei belongs there, because they were all part of the story of false greatness. Milei because of all his politics, and Scheinbaum and Maduro, I thought they are a nice couple.
Okay.
Yeah, we can put them together.
As a couple.
And I'm sure they are in love with each other.
You speak of the worldwide feast of death. That phrase feels especially apt today, amid the destruction in Gaza and Ukraine, Trump's looming threats, a climate crisis that power seems indifferent to, and in Mexico, organized crime and the tragedy of violence. In such a landscape, can we still invoke the muses?
Well, we have to. I mean, it's the only way out. Just to give you a very basic example, what is it that the muses do, right? I mean, the muses, Greek mythology, they have a mother. The mother is mnemosia, which is Greek for memory. And she has 9 daughters, all representing a world of the arts, including Clio, the muse of history. And what is it that those 9 muses can do? They provide us the language of the arts. And why is this language so important? Because the main difference between the language the muses can offer to us, whether a scientific language or an economic language or a political language or even a journalistic language, is that it provides us the language to give expression to our deepest emotions. The deepest emotions which are so difficult to find expression for. Mm-hmm. Whether it's an emotion of being totally in love, or being completely depressed, or feeling all the pain for all the things you're suffering for, the muse as well can provide you that language. Now, with that language, it makes it more possible for you to express yourself, or to express yourself in the language of what the poet or the novelist, or in a song, or showing to a painter. This is exactly what I'm feeling now. But next to that, what it offers you is the world of imagination. Due to that language of the muses, this is why you have to read poetry, this is why you have to read novels, you suddenly can imagine another world. Mm-hmm. Suddenly you can imagine another life. Suddenly you can imagine what is going on in another person. Now, then, okay, let's think about the consequences if people can no longer imagine. Mm-hmm. At that moment you are imprisoned. You're imprisoned in your own state, in your own emotions, and in the own state of the world, because you cannot even imagine something different. So, given the darkness and all the complexities and the dangers of our time, which is a kind of repetition of all the dark ages we already have had in human history, it is more than ever crucially important that we can open up the paradigm, and that the muses can come in, and that philosophy can come in to imagine, because this of course is also one of the things I address in the last story of the book, where I present George Orwell, mm-hmm. not as the dystopian as he's known for, the man who predicted with 1984 surveillance capitalism, Big Brother, total lack of privacy, the newspeak, etc., which all became true. But I could show that essentially this George Orwell was quintessentially utopian, mm-hmm. telling us, but people can read the story, telling us you do not have to accept the world as it is. Mm-hmm. Never, mm-hmm. never. You can say no to the world as it is, and you can imagine and work and fight for a different reality. Mm-hmm. So no, More than ever, this is time for the muses.
Now, can the nobility of spirit and the recovery of what you call the grammar of life, that is freedom and truth, friendship and loyalty, wisdom and courage, love and poetry, justice and harmony, can they all stand up to the power of the technology's giants and stand up to manipulation, control, and fake news?
Well, it's everybody's. Look, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is this is the responsibility of every single individual. Keeping in mind George Orwell, you do not have to accept the situation as it is. Everybody can decide to stop with Instagram. Everybody can decide to do something different with their life, right? There is no reason to accept what people want you to believe, and there is no reason to be hooked on your cell phone all the time. You know, you can put it away, and it's better to put it away in the meantime. So, yes, because all the words you mentioned again sound like it's a word. They are very big words. Justice, harmony. Da, da, da. But they are only expressions of a very fundamental attitude of what is it that you're going to do with your life. So the choices to be made is if you start to realize that the world as it is now and what the system wants you to believe, that's basically a culture of death. And it's a culture of death because there are no life-giving elements in it. Then choose for something different, right? And then don't be afraid to be the outsider. Van Gogh, so many others. And you even do not have to be a genius, but realize it's your life. Probably it's your only life, and you have to deal with it all your life. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. And if you want to understand what the horrifying alternative is all about, then read that wonderful short story of Tolstoy, The Death of Ivan Ilyich, mm-hmm. about a man who did everything correct. Right friends, right people to invite for your dinner party, showing up when it's necessary. Oh, also having the right clothes and making the right jokes and just being like and then making this career step by step in the bureaucracy, etc., etc. And also, of course, your marriage with the right woman, and of course you had the right number of children, etc. And then Ivan Ilyich is suddenly struck with cancer, mm-hmm. and then it turns out that what he thought were his friends were only his colleagues, and his colleagues had no interest in him anymore because he was of no interest. And even his marriage was falling apart. He said, and the good man died realizing my life was completely empty. The only thing I did was doing the right things at the right time to make a stupid career.
Okay. In that way, if democracy is meant to elevate individuals,
right,
to think freely and independently, what place do artificial intelligence and algorithms in social networks have within it?
What is artificial love? And what is artificial justice? What is artificial friendship? What is artificial news? Well, you know the answer. It's all fake. So, conclusion, artificial intelligence is fake. It's not intelligent. Mm-hmm. It's a machinery, mm-hmm. That due to its speed of its calculations can do things 1 million times or 1 billion times faster than we can do. But it's not intelligent. It's not grounded in truth. It's not grounded in moral values. It doesn't know anything about good and evil. It has nothing to do with a democracy. So here are things going wrong because if a whole generation of young people are accepting the fact that they are living in this scientific, technological, rationalistic paradigm, which is deprived of a soul, which is deprived of any moral values, and then this horror of an artificial intelligence and chatbot, well, you can wait for the apocalypse.
In this crisis of civilization, we have lost or are losing the ability to focus, to read deeply, to sustain attention, to have conversations. What role do writers, poets, and artists play? And what role do stories, like the ones you tell us in your book, play?
There is an anthropological definition of culture, and then everything is culture. You have Mexican culture, and you have a culinary culture, and you have whatever. Everything, what is a little bit distinctive is a culture in itself. But that's not the original meaning of the word. The original meaning of the word comes from this beautiful phrase of Cicero, cultura animi filosofia est. The cultivation of the human soul is the quest for wisdom. Which means that culture is that metaphysical space where you'll find the transcendental, therefore absolute values on truth, goodness, beauty, love, friendship. We human beings should aspire for. Artists, the sons and daughters of the muses, are there to give expression to this. Nature, religion, arts, philosophy. If you have those intellectual powers together, they are there to remind people of, how things, what has value, what is not. What is a life-giving force and what is a deadly force. And especially in the irony and the paradox of our time is that on the one hand, we are more powerful than ever, we have more resources than ever, and at the same time, our intellectual and spiritual poverty is greater than ever. There is more intellectual and spiritual richness to find in the Middle Ages than in our time.
Rob, you warned us long ago, naming fascism for what it is, that it could return, and now it's here. So what comes next? And in your book, it's very interesting, I find, that you talk about fascism and the new mafia that you were telling me right now is a technocracy mafia. At the same time, you tell stories, beautiful stories about childhood. Mm-hmm. And you write, a better world is not possible unless we first build a better world for and with children. Is childhood a new theme for you?
And then indeed I wanted to write about the flag of hope. And I wanted to tell the story of Coursac and Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, but also some fundamentals which were taught by Robert Oppenheimer, the man of the atomic bomb. Mm-hmm. Now, indeed with Coursac and Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, but Oppenheimer in that story became the prime example of it, is how crucially important the life of children is. Mm-hmm. So this Janusz Coursac was a tremendous, phenomenal Jewish pedagogue. In the real meaning of the word, he really cared for children, and so he wrote a very famous, beautiful book for children, which was very influential. And then he took care for those Jewish orphans, mm-hmm. right? Well, anyway, people can read the story, but I got to know him because of this speech mm-hmm. he once gave when children were old enough to leave the orphanage, and that he can say, well, there are many things we cannot give you, but the only thing we can give you is the aspiration and the courage to live your life in the right way. And Antoine Saint-Exupéry, he became famous with Le Petit Prince, but also all his other novels were trying to convince people about, is a defense of being human. Le Petit Prince, this so-called children's book, which is a book that every adult should read, is more important and more influential for me than 10,000 academic books.
Rob, I don't know if you want to say something else.
No, I can only say muchas gracias. Thank you so much for, again, being the one person most here in Mexico since already for 10 years almost, that you want to pay attention to the works I'm doing.